Welcome to Bedtime Wisdom Stories.
Story time. The Window Raindrop Race. Maya settled into a rainy bedroom with a low window and two pillows on the floor, where the window raindrop made a small shape in the lamplight. The window raindrop race made bedtime feel unfinished in its own small way. Mama saw Maya watching the window instead of closing her eyes. Maya handled the window raindrop race in a way that made the window raindrop race problem visibly better. Maya named thunder as the sound she feared most, then followed a raindrop down the glass. Maya followed one raindrop down the glass until thunder stopped being the only sound. The window raindrop race gave the worry a smaller shape. The bedroom softened around one small action, not around a big speech. The rain became silver lines on the glass instead of a warning. Maya kept the window raindrop in sight, but the hug inside her chest mattered more now. The bedtime moment around window raindrop race softened once Maya gave the feeling a place. Maya followed one raindrop down the glass instead of counting thunder. The worry finally had edges, and that made it easier to rest beside. By the last yawn, the worry had become part of the quiet room. Maya watched the raindrop reach the window edge, and the thunder felt far away. Moral of the story: attention can move from fear toward something gentle. Story time. The small sock for the cold floor. Parker settled into a bedroom with wooden floorboards and a chilly, moonlit rug, where the small sock made a small shape in the lamplight. Bedtime had arrived, though one small worry sat beside the small sock. Grandpa noticed Zane listening to the quiet more than the story. Parker pointed to the small sock for the cold floor and said the part that had been bothering them. Parker told Papa the cold floor made morning feel hard, then lined the socks like warm stepping stones. Parker placed the socks like two small stepping stones beside the bed. The helper suggested one gentle step, and Parker tried it slowly. The first soft change came when the small sock stopped feeling like something to grip tightly. The socks looked like two warm islands beside the bed. Parker moved the small sock beside the lamp and stopped asking the room for proof. The room stayed still without needing another check. Parker lined the socks beside the bed like two warm stepping stones. The doorway stayed half-lit while Parker settled deeper into the pillow. The dream had room to begin, because the small sock was settled. Parker saw the socks lined up beside the bed and stopped worrying about the cold floor. Moral of the story: preparation can make a small hard thing easier to do. Story time. The pillowcase with the wrong side out. Anya settled into a bed with a flower pillowcase and a sleepy bedside shelf, where the pillowcase made a small shape in the lamplight. The pillowcase with the wrong side out held the last little thought of the evening. Uncle Dev saw Anya's eyes return to the cupboard crack. Grandma smoothed the pillowcase once, and waited for Anya to describe the seam. Anya showed Grandma the pillow seam that bothered her, then turned the smooth side under her cheek. Anya turned the pillowcase right side out and smoothed the seam with both paws. Anya used the pillowcase to turn the feeling into something small and visible. The bedtime corner felt less sharp once the feeling had a shape. The pillow became smooth enough for Anya's cheek. Anya wound the pillowcase down, gently, and let the last note fade by itself. The pillowcase with the wrong side out no longer asked Anya for another check. Anya turned the pillow to the smooth side and patted the seam flat. The doorway stayed half-lit while Anya settled deeper into the pillow. Anya's eyelids grew heavy while the pillowcase stayed peacefully nearby. Anya turned the pillow to the smooth side and settled her cheek, without frowning. Moral of the story: fixing a small discomfort can make rest easier. Story time. The good night card for the busy parent. Zane settled into a small bedroom, with a card on the nightstand and hallway light outside, where the good night card made a small shape in the lamplight. The good night card for the busy parent held the last little thought of the evening. Auntie noticed Parker watching the doorway as if it might change shape. Mama read the good night card at the door and let Zane say why her work felt far away. Zane read the good night card aloud, so Mama's work light no longer felt so far away. Zane slid the good night card. The good night card gave the worry a smaller shape. The lamp, blanket, and good night cards seemed to settle into the same slow rhythm. The card by the door made Mama's late work feel closer. Zane set the good night card beside the pillow and let the hallway feel friendly again. The good night card no longer asked Zane for another check. Zane placed the good night card. The doorway stayed half-lit while Zane settled deeper into the pillow. The good night card no longer followed Zane into the dream. Zane's good night card glowed. Moral of the story: love can be shared even when someone is busy. Story time. The window shell and the faraway siren. Mira sat up when a faraway siren slipped through the round window. The room stayed still, but the sound made her paws tighten around the blanket. Mama entered softly and did not turn on the bright ceiling light. Mira pointed to the window and whispered that the sound felt like it was coming for their street. Mama opened the curtain just enough for both of them to look outside. The red light was far beyond the rooftops, moving down another road. Mira held the shell nightlight while Mama explained that helpers were going to someone who needed them. The shell glow made a small pool of light on the blanket. Mira listened again and noticed the sound was already fading away. Mama asked if the window should stay open or close halfway. Mira chose halfway, so she could hear less but still see the moon. The siren became a tiny sound behind the curtains. Mira placed the shell nightlight on the sill like a calm guard. Her paws opened slowly on top of the blanket. The shell glowed beside the half-closed window while Mira fell asleep to the quiet street. Moral of the story: a scary sound feels smaller when we learn what made it. Story time. The quilt square and the missing good night. Owen lay under the quilt, but one square near his paw reminded him of Grandma. She had left before bedtime, and the good night hug felt unfinished. Papa noticed Owen rubbing the same quilt square again and again. Owen said he had smiled goodbye too quickly in the hallway. Papa brought a small note card from the desk and sat. Owen drew Grandma's round glasses on one side of the card. He wrote one crooked heart under the drawing. Papa helped him fold the card into the quilt square pocket. Owen pressed the pocket flat with both paws. The missed hug did not disappear, but it had somewhere gentle to rest. Papa promised the card could be given at breakfast. Owen turned the sleepy bear lamp toward the quilt pocket. The little card edge showed just enough to remember the plan. Owen stopped rubbing the square and tucked his paws under the blanket. The quilt pocket held the good night card while Owen slept with a softer face. Moral of the story: a small goodbye can comfort the heart after a busy day. Story time. The Tin Train and the New Room Echo. Mila's new room made a small echo when she turned in bed. Every creak sounded different from her old bedroom. Grandma sat beside the moving boxes and listened with her. Mila tapped the tin train by accident, and the sound bounced off the bare wall. Grandma smiled and tapped the train once more, softer this time. They listened to the little ring fade around the new room. Mila placed the folded rug on the floor beside the bed. The next tap sounded warmer and shorter. She moved one box against the empty wall and tried again. The room answered with less echo, almost like it was learning her name. Grandma let Mila choose where the tin train should sleep. Mila parked it. The new room still sounded new, but not unfriendly. Mila whispered good night to the wall lamp and waited for no echo back. The tin train rested beside the rug while Mila slept in the room that was starting to know her. Moral of the story: new places feel safer when we learn their sounds. Story time. The rain boot shadow and the door crack. Nikhil saw a tall shape. The shape leaned strangely against the hallway glow. Aunt Lila paused outside and asked if she should come in slowly. Nikhil nodded and pointed without speaking. Aunt Lila lowered herself beside the bed and looked from Nikhil's pillow height. The tall shape had 2 ears, only because the rain boots were stacked sideways. Nikhil blinked at the boots, then laughed once into the blanket. He climbed down and set the boots side by side on the mat. The shadow shrank into 2 ordinary boot shapes. Aunt Lila let him decide how wide the door crack should stay. Nikhil left it open just enough for a thin line of light. He climbed back into bed and checked the mat once. The boots looked ready for rain, not for scaring anyone. The hallway glow stayed small and friendly. Nikhil slept while the rain boots waited neatly by the door. Moral of the story: a careful look can turn a scary shape into something ordinary.